We spend so much time preparing children to pass exams, but very little time teaching them how to manage their lives. And before you think this is not an attack on parents, I know that every single parent who is invested in your child's life is doing what is necessary to get them to that next level. But there's only so much that can be done if we don't have these conversations, especially in the household. I am coming from also where my parents did not go to college. They didn't even finish high school. They've invested in me and my siblings to allow us to be able to get to this level, and I am ultra grateful for that experience. But one thing I will say, money was never talked about in my house. If you're not new to my channel, you know that my dad has been an entrepreneur for 30 plus years, and even then, we've never had money conversations when I was growing up. I literally just watched and saw things that he did, and he took out a lot of debt to be able to reinvest into the business and grow it. And he had to work so hard to be able to pay that back. And between managing the business, repaying the debt, and managing the household, he was rarely ever home because the work just took him away because he needed the money. And that experience shaped my relationship with money for a very long part of my life that I'm currently rebuilding right now. And that lack of communication in the household, it definitely affected me years later. And I'm pretty sure this affected you too if you're watching this video, and probably many other people that you've had conversation with on a monthly basis. So today we're going to talk about this on a deeper level to see where the root is and to just see what we can do different, right? Guys, welcome to the channel. If you're not new here, you know I'm Khrista-Lee Amore. We talk all things invest in you. Please stay until the end of the video. I'm sure it will be interesting and worth your while. So we talk about going to school, getting good grades, and staying out of trouble, and all kind of things that are helpful, but we don't talk about money. We don't talk about career. We don't talk about negotiating salaries. We don't talk about building multiple income streams and building businesses and the things that we actually need to survive outside of our homes, outside of the school system. I went to school all the way to the collegiate level. I've never learned how to do a budget in my classrooms. I've never learned anything about personal finances or anything that could actually help me. I did not know how to negotiate a salary until I had my opportunity in front of me and I knew I just needed more money. That's what instincted me to negotiate my first salary. And so these are just things that we just were never taught. As I said, the parents aren't necessarily the problem because if they never had these conversations growing up, they don't know this is something that they need to do. Most parents try to give their child better than what they had, and even though the money conversation is still excluded, I can definitely say I had more from my parents than they had from theirs. So that's still a blessing in itself. But why do we shame? Why do we shy away? Why do we shy away from having these conversations? The first thing is shame. We don't want people to know where we're at. It's such a taboo conversation. We'd rather talk about relationships and celebrity news and toxic drama and all of that before we talk about the amount of debt that we have, before we talk about our career transitions, before we talk about our salaries, and before we just talk about money in general. It's shame. Nobody wants to be the embarrassed one for realizing that you're 30 years old and you only have $1,000 saved in the bank. Nobody wants to be embarrassed for realizing that they have $1 million worth of debt, which means they have a negative zero net worth. You know, nobody wants to be shamed for the fact that they're taking vacation every single year, but they don't have any money to cover a $500 expense. And so, because a lot of the narrative is being shaped towards shaming people, nobody wants to share the real deal of what's going on in their life. And so, what makes me, as a very private person, decide to come on the internet and share my personal business is because when I was younger, I never had this. I never had anybody. I'm the oldest sibling. I didn't have anybody who went before me and made the mistakes and saw the things and was able to share with me. And so, if I can be able to share this with somebody else so that they can make different and better choices, I believe that I'm accomplishing my purpose. I've spoken about this so many times. I have a little sister, I have a little brother. Well, they're not so little anymore, but I'm the oldest. And so, if there's anything that I can teach them to make their life better, I'm all for it. It's not that I want them to not experience bumps, because those are the things that are going to shape us into the people that we need to become. But I'm talking about the things that we just don't need to learn by ourselves. Like, they say that you can literally learn from other people's mistakes, and you don't have to make a mistake to learn every single lesson. And so it's one of those moments for me. I I'm aware that not everybody's in the same situation, not everybody's in the same boat, and not everybody's circumstances are the same. And so, by no means am I discounting your exact situation to say that this is an easy fix. Maybe there is some trauma around why you don't want to talk about money in your household. And I promise you that starting the conversation is the first step to removing that shame. Because the thing is, if I come in here and tell you my business, you don't have anything over me because I put it out there. You cannot rub it back into my face to make me feel ashamed, because if I didn't want you to know, I wouldn't tell you. And so that is the thing with talking about things. You are practicing putting it out there. It lifts the power of shame from off your back. You no longer feel like this thing is controlling you because you're the one who is shaping the narrative. And I think that's such an important and powerful place to be in, because once you're the one shaping the narrative, the covers are rolled back. So, as you know how I like to get down, we identify the problem and then we have to find a solution, because at the end of the day, yes, we don't want to talk about money because of shame, embarrassment, and guilt. But what do I actually do, and what steps do I actually take to make this become something that is not holding me back anymore? All right, and that's what I want to get into with more depth today. The first thing that I would say is to learn your numbers. Learn your numbers. Become aware of your money. Become comfortable looking at it yourself. Maybe talking about it is not the first step for you. Maybe just looking at it. Treading a chair if you need to, becoming uncomfortable if you need to, sitting in that still moment and just being present with it. If you open your account and you see $0 in there, that's your $0. It's yours. Nobody has to know about this part yet. This is just your part for you to get into the nitty-gritty and get comfortable with the uncomfortable experience. You cannot be afraid of things that you know. You're only afraid of things that you don't know. And the fact that you don't know your numbers, it's what's keeping you stuck. So log into your accounts, check on your savings, check on your investing. If you don't have any savings, check on what you have first. That's not complicated, right? Check on all that you have. If you have debt, check on your debt amount. If you have multiple debts, check on all of them, check on the interest rates, and then you can derive a plan to see what you're going to knock out first. I don't like to tell people to just go right out the bat and increase your income, because at the end of the day, yes, you're going to increase your income, but you need to have a plan. Not having a plan and getting more money is the same as not having more money, because you're going to waste it. And if you don't think I'm being serious, go increase your income without money and then come back and tell me in the comments what kind of lifestyle inflation you experience, because it's just a natural thing. It's not a blame thing. It's not a, oh, I'm better than you think. I see a lot of people who won the lottery and they end up broke, and a lot of people who don't win the lottery say that can never happen to me. But you don't know what can happen to you unless you have the money, because it's easy for us to say things when we're not in a spot. When you're in a spot, it's a completely different situation, because you just don't know. You start buying all the things that you didn't have before, spending like a $5, like a $10, and then you make a little big purchase, and by the time you look, you're broke, and you're looking at people who are making bad decisions and judging them because you thought you would make different ones. But it just takes the right situation to expose what's truly in you anyway. But becoming aware of the numbers is first before you even think about increasing the income. Become aware of your numbers and see where you're at and where you're trying to go. Once you know what's up, then you can say, okay, you need an emergency fund. If you don't have enough money with your current income to create that emergency fund, then of course you definitely need to increase your income so that you can take the excess money to build your emergency fund. I've spoken about an emergency fund many times, but the essence of it is it's the amount of money that you use on a monthly basis for all of your bills times the amount of time that you need it for. So if you need an emergency fund for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, it's 12 months times 500, or 12 months times 1,000. Put your expense in that number. And in addition to that, you need a sunk fund, or a rainy day fund, as I like to call it. The name doesn't matter, as I always say, the money in the account does. So have whatever name you want to put on it, but this fund is specifically for emergencies. I know, sounds confusing, but it's not. Emergency fund, if you lose a job. Other fund for everyday expenses. If your phone broke, if your shoes broke, if your handbag burst, if your door angle pop off. I mean, if your door angle break, if your mop is broken, if you need a new broom, if you need a new tire for your car, things that you cannot foresee, that's what you take out of that expense. So that account is something that kind of just on the whim for anything that you need that is outside of your regular monthly expenses, right? And as I always say as well, once you use all these accounts, replenish them. Don't let them stay empty once you can, because if an emergency really does happen, you want to be able to have the money in there to take care of those so that you don't go back into unnecessary debt. All right, because this is kind of the point of why we're doing all of this, to make sure that we're managing our money and storing our resources very well and hopefully staying out of it. All right. So knowing your numbers is such an essential part of this process. So once you look on the numbers, now you can say, okay, then we can start to have the conversations. Once you start to build the emergency fund, you can start to talk to your family members. Do you have an emergency fund? This is what it is. Normalize having this conversation, just like how you would talk about um, Sierra and Russell or Beyonce and Jay-Z. Like normalize it the same way or you talk about every celebrity. Because best believe these celebrities are celebrities because they're making better financial decisions than a lot of us are. They're able to maintain and grow and multiply their incomes and their networks because they're making the financial decisions that we avoid when we're sitting down every single day paying attention to their lives and not minding our own. Okay, this next one is learn investing. Learn the different investing tools that exist. Don't invest in things that you don't know about. Learn about whatever it is. If you have a job that has a 401k or a Roth IRA, ask about those plans and learn the one that you feel most comfortable with. Every company has different options. This is not financial advice, but every company has different options that you can choose from that considers your risk tolerance and what you're comfortable doing, right? Outside of that, there are many different other platforms. If you directly want to go to the market, you can do index funds, mutual funds, bonds, and different things that you feel comfortable with. Again, not financial advice, but learn about these different things and try while you're learning, bring somebody into the conversation and learn with your sister, learn with your brother, learn with your father, learn with your mom, and incorporate this into the family so that you guys are having these conversations. Every time somebody knows something, they can share with somebody else, and it becomes a normalized thing on Sunday. Instead of every single holiday, you guys are asking the kids when you're going to get married, when you're going to have a child, all of these things. Normalize talking about the money because you need the money to take care of everything. All right. And that is exactly why I say that talking remove the shame, because people suffer in silence because they are ashamed. And the mistakes repeat because family members refuse to come together and talk about these things in the household. Nobody in the school is going to teach you this. I went to college 3 times, never learned anything about personal finances. This is not something that is going to be in the curriculum, at least for now, but we have to put it into our personal curriculum. All right. This next one is practicing delayed gratification. Like as an adult, you have to really get comfortable not getting things just because you want it. Like, yeah, we're not kids anymore. Nobody's throwing tantrum in the park. You literally have to put yourself on a strict schedule. And this is not something, this ties into the other one too, which is living below your means. But these are not things that you're going to do forever. These are things that you're going to do until you get yourself to a certain spot, until you create options for yourself, until you are living in a space that you can make risk your choices without it affecting you and you can go back to your baseline. But until you are there, you have to just want things and ignore it. You have to become very comfortable at that if you have financial goals that you want to accomplish, which is basically coming out of poverty. Like, poverty is crime. I'm going to tell a story that illustrates this perfectly. But let me just get through this point. Yeah. So if it's not something that is important, put time limits between you buying stuff. Put 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, and if you still need it after that, go ahead. But most times you won't need it after that, and that is really a test that you didn't need it anyway. You have to just be very clear and strict on what you're going to spend your money on, because you work really hard for it, and you should make it be worth the while. All right. Another way to think about this is this worth all of my pay? What? You tell me I'm gonna buy this thing that I work 1 hour to buy this thing? I don't want it anymore. Like, you have to think about things in the way that gets you to act in the way that you need to act for your goals to be accomplished. Living below your means is not suffering, it's strategic wealth building. One, if you should lose that high paying job and you're already practicing to live below your means, you're not in such a detrimental spot, because now your bills have significantly reduced. So if you should get a lower paying job, you are better off because you have less amount of money to pay your bills. It's easier for you to build an emergency fund. Your emergency fund can last longer, and you can take that extra money and invest it and make it grow for you. And investing is not just the stock market. Investing can be starting businesses and doing different things that are not definitely in the stock market, real estate, other things, right? It's just that the stock market is a low entry place for you to invest. It's also very risky. So you just have to do it at your own risk. But no risk, no reward. And it's much safer than keeping your money in the banks, because you're barely getting any interest rate on your money, except if it's a high yield savings account, and it's still not, the high yield savings account are still not competing with the market on the same level. So at the end of the day, the money is just losing value when it's sitting in places that are not adding to it, not compounding, right? But your emergency fund can stretch longer. You can invest the extra money and set yourself up for success. Set yourself up for to enjoy the best of your life, the rest of your life, to be the best of your life. Even if you didn't have money growing up, you can create a better experience for yourself. You can travel if you want to travel. You can give to charity if you want to give to charity. You can make sure that you will live a great lifestyle, eat healthier. Like, eating healthy is not cheap, but it's good for your body and it's good for your health. And investing back in yourself, that's a great reason to want money. Like, wanting money does not have to be because you want to do something massive. It can just be the simple things like eating healthy food, affording skincare, being able to look nice, being able to have your gadgets, being able to spend your mornings being slow because you can find aligned work, and doing things that make you comfortable in your life. So at the end of the day, these are just sacrifices that you have to make in the beginning stages of your wealth journey, so that you can get to the next level without feeling like you are always stuck and behind. A lot of times people would rather sit down and complain and do nothing to change their situation when they have so much power to change it. And I'm not going to say they, I'm going to say we, because I'm going to include myself in it. I never make my videos to shame anybody or to come down on anybody or to act like I have it all figured out, because I'm still figuring it out. This is a process. And there are many times when I sit down and I complain about things, and I have to remind myself that I have the power to change this. So instead of me complaining, let me figure out a way to change it. And it's not that you're not supposed to talk about it. Yes, talk about it, and talk about it for as many times as you want, and also find a solution. Both of those things are are true and should be happening at the same time, right? And so it's very important. I'm going to tell the story now. I had an experience where I was going through the airport, and I always are. Is it always? Yeah, I'm going to say always. I always try to go to the airport early. If my flight is local or international, I'm at the airport very early, because I don't like rushing to. Period. I don't like rushing. Sorry. And Airport just give me a different level of anxiety, especially when I'm going to big airports like Miami airports and those airports that take you forever to get to the other side. I just like to be there on time so I can take my time and walk my 2 hour journey through the airport and until my flight is ready. This particular day, I showed up early as always, and my flight got delayed about 5 times. I'm not exaggerating. And to the time that my flight was delayed consistently, I almost missed my connecting flight. I think there was a thunderstorm or something. I almost missed my connecting flight. And when I got to my connecting location, I was on the plane when my flight was boarding and I still had not exited the aircraft that I just that I am that my first aircraft. And it wasn't just me. It was a lot of us on the plane that were connecting, and so the flight attendants were like, "Okay, guys, stay on and allow the people who are connecting to come off first, if you don't mind," and so forth. And so I rush off that plane. And every time I see people running to the airport, I'm always thinking like, why don't you guys come early? Why are you guys always running? Why don't you guys come early? Not accounting the fact that maybe they're literally connecting and it's just a tight spot. And when I came off the plane, my flight was boarding in 20 minutes. No, my flight was about to finish boarding in 20 minutes. And I am 40 minutes or 50 minutes away from my gate. I started to run through that airport. I ran. Why am I running? Because my flight was almost the price for my flight was almost $1,000, and I was not in a spot to be able to afford an extra $1,000 for my flight because I had to extra pay for my luggage that were overweight, and I it was just a whole situation. And I was running through that airport so hastily because I couldn't afford that extra $1,000 to book another flight. And I remember I was running. I got to the escalator and I was running up the escalator. It's moving, you know. I'm running up the escalator and I tripped on my suitcase on the escalator. And I know that it's the hands of God that held me up because I don't know to this day how I did not fall all the way down to the escalator. My suitcase tripped my foot and I caught up in the suitcase to be standing. And I was just like wobbling, wobbling, wobbling. Nobody was directly behind me to hold me up, so I know it was God. When I finally caught my balance, I heard somebody on the escalator that was going down said, "Are you okay?" Like shouting like he wanted to come over there and help me. To all I was panicking because when I realized that I caught my balance, I realized I'm still not at my gate. I had to resume the running. It was bad, guys. I had to resume the running. And so I ran and ran. And when I was like 5 minutes away, I started to feel an excessive pain in my chest and my side because I don't know where that energy come from, but I was sprinting Usain Bolt, Chilean Fraser Price style. But when the pain started hitting me, I had to stop because I felt like I couldn't breathe, I couldn't go anymore, and I just had to stop running. I had to drink some water, and I was like holding myself in the airport, and everybody was running past me because it was a lot of us just running to get. Everybody was running everywhere because everybody was missing their flights. And I tell you, I started to walk faster, and when I got to my gate, I was like, okay, the plane is gonna leave me because I really can't run anymore. And when I got there, I saw this man standing at the counter arguing with the flight attendant. No, not the flight attendant, with the associate at the desk. And he was arguing about not paying for his bag because he already paid and they want to charge him for carry on and all sort of stuff. And as I got to the gate, I heard one of the ladies said, "Sir, we're about to close the gate. Are you going to board the flight?" Which means if that argument wasn't happening, I would have missed my flight. When I got on the plane and I sat down, I saw the guy come on the plane and they closed the door right away. They were only waiting for him, right? Because they probably called my name several times and didn't answer. So they were like just waiting for this guy to wrap up the argument so they could close the door. And I got there right in time. And to how I was so like, I don't know what I was feeling. I was just, I didn't have any words. I just, the entire flight, I just sat looking through the window. Looking back on it, I can laugh now. But that was because I didn't have money to pay for my flight. An extra thousand, I already booked it, multiple flights for the weekend, and I had to pay an extra $1,000 if I missed my flight, and that just had me running through an airport, something that I just never thought I would be doing for whatever reason because I always try to be there on time. And so wanting money is for inconveniences like these. If I had the extra thousand now without thinking about where the money is gonna come from, I wouldn't have to be running through an airport, almost about to trip down an escalator, risk hurting myself because I was almost at the top. So if I had fallen all the way down, I would have had so much bruises on my body. It would have cost me money to go to the doctor, to um pay for them to look on my body and examine it. If anything is broken, I have to pay doctor bill, I have to get prescriptions. Those were also going to be extra money, right? So I'm trying to solve a problem by and creating another one in the process. Those are the things that the options that you get with money. I would have to be running through no airport, almost hurting myself to catch a flight because I could easily be able to buy another one. Wanting money does not have to be for the change your life. Yes, it can be for the change your life moments like traveling the world, which is something I want to do, but it can be simple moments like those. And so the first step to getting here is to really become aware and know where you're at and figuring out a plan of how to get to the next level. And if this is something that you're interested in, I'm going to be offering different sessions where we can work together, one-on-one sessions if you want a more intimate space, and group sessions as well if you want, if you're comfortable sharing with other people. So I'm thinking about doing this. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you guys would be interested in, and I will be working on mapping these out in the coming weeks. But these are the reasons why having options and financial independence for yourself is important. It's just for the simple inconveniences of life. You deserve it. You work really hard. You put in the work, you put in the effort. You deserve to not have to be freaking out about every single inconvenience that comes about in life. So these conversations may have never started in our household. They have never been had in our household, but we can start them at any point. We can start these conversations and we can start it today, right? And we spend so much time just watching everybody's life on the internet, and we don't spend enough time being a student of our own lives. And this is the first step. Of course, there are many other aspects of our lives, that we need to develop, but I'm talking about the money. There are other things that I am learning on my journey that I share here on different videos. You can go back and watch my different videos if you want to hear different things about career and just overall on my channel. I talk about all things investing in you. This is not just money, but money is a big part of it. And I just really believe these conversations are so important because they help us to push the needle forward and to enact change. We literally are responsible for ourselves. We are stewards of ourselves. Once we become an adult, there's nobody coming to save us. There's nobody coming to give us a handout, right? And we have to create that future for ourselves. We have the option, we have the possibility to create it. It may not, it not may, it will not be easy, and it will not be a walk in the park. And by no means will it always be a fun, interesting journey. But it's going to be something that is worth your while. I'm pretty sure if you have to sacrifice 10 years to be able to live 50 years well, I think that's a worthy sacrifice that it's no brainer to take. And so I am rooting for you. I really do wish you the best. I wish you well on your journey, and you don't have to do this alone. So I'm really grateful and thankful that you're watching this video and taking a necessary step right now. This video is a step in the right direction. So I hope you can share this with somebody who you think will benefit from this information, because this is our power right here. And also give it a like so that you can reach more people that are in the algorithm as well. And comment below and tell me if money was talked about in your household and what makes it such a challenge for us to keep talking about it. I love the conversation to continue in the comments below. As well as if you have watched the video so far and you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. And follow me on all social media platforms at Khrista-Lee Amore. That's Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And I will see you in the next video tomorrow. But for now, let's go make some mistakes. Bye.